Hello. Welcome back. That would happen, wouldn't it? Honestly. Oh, and do you know why? I got a notification as well at that time. Oh, it's because Leeds Lately went live. Bloody loudspeaker. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to Leeds Lately for this transfer stream where we round up the weekly transfer news. Welcome to those of you who are in here already. John B saying I'm feeling super excited for this one. This is going to be a very chilled one, you know. I'm just feeling that. I'm just feeling the vibe of it, just being a nice chilled one. We've got the Arsenal game tomorrow, which of course I've already done a tactical preview for. So if you haven't seen that already and you want to know how I think that Daniel Farke will set us up in that game, you can go ahead and watch that video after the stream as well. Welcome to one of our Leeds Lately members, John Garside. Welcome to the stream, John. Hopefully, now that we've actually had... Hi, John. Oh, so we've only got Johns in the chat so far, so if we get someone with another name, that would be a bonus. But yeah, we've had a transfer through the door this week, which we will go into very shortly. I did a short about it today, just talking about kind of... There's been a bit of negative reaction to the whole Noah Okafor transfer. And I wanted to make that short because I feel like it gives you a bit more context on it. Context on some of the statistics, some of the kind of underlying like output metrics and stuff that people are kind of using as a stick to beat this transfer with. But yes, hello Poppy, hello Carl, welcome to the stream. We'll wait till if just a few more people are in here, but of course there is a little bit of news to get through this week, and then maybe like last week we can go into a little bit where you guys can ask questions. Potentially, now that the season's actually started, you can ask questions about potentially the Arsenal game, potentially the season in general, the transfer window, anything like that. We'll get into that, but first of all, we'll have a little talk about transfers. So, in general then, let me know what your guys' thoughts are about Noah Okafor as a transfer then. Because for me, I think it's a fantastic little bit of business. For the price that we're able to get Noah Okafor for, and the type of player he is, I think it's a really, really good deal for a newly promoted side. And the thing is as well, we've got to remember that we're a newly promoted side. So Igor Paixão would have been signing of the season for any club in the bottom half of the table. So the fact that Leeds were maybe close at some point is massive. But I think it's kind of tinted the rest of our window for us all to think, oh, well, anybody else isn't quite good enough when we bring them in. So, hi everyone who's joining us. Hi Ryan, hi Julie. So, Noah Okafor then, well, like I've said a couple of times, he's in the top 1% for take-ons in Europe's top 5 leagues, i.e. he's in the top 1% of all wingers and forwards in terms of taking the ball past people. That's got to count for something. He's really, really good at skinning a player. And I've seen Milan fans and stuff talk about the fact that he's never really had a massive end product. But I think there's reasons for inconsistency in Noah Okafor's career so far. Since transferring from Red Bull Salzburg over to Italy and playing for AC Milan and then going out on loan to Napoli, he's never really had a kind of a real run at first team football as the guy every week on the wing or up front, wherever he wants to play. And when you look at him in that AC Milan side, if they're saying that he's a left winger, his spot is behind Rafael Leao, who's one of the top wingers in Europe. So he's not going to get much game time other than games off the bench. So I think that's when it kind of clouds what looks like how many games he's played versus how many goals he's actually scored. It looks like, say he'd played 100 games and only scored 10 goals. You'd go, that's really not very good for a winger. But if you actually look at the statistics in terms of how many of those games he came off the bench for, let's say last season, for example, I think he played like 20 odd times last season. 15 of them were off the bench. 15 of them were off the bench. So that's where you kind of see that you have to look at minutes per goal instead. And he's not played that many minutes, and the amount of goals he's scored for AC Milan over that amount of minutes is actually not that bad. And according to AC Milan themselves, the official football club account, they said that he came in clutch with many last-minute goals, many very late-on goals, which, of course, we love as Leeds fans. So that's where we kind of played 4 games last season. He certainly did not. He played more than that. Who scored? Noah Okafor. I'll be able to tell you now. But, yeah. He's born in 2000, so he's 20... he's 20 years old. 25 years old, sorry. And he's certainly somebody who... let's get his... It's from last season, and that's what's annoying. And now that we've actually started this season, you lose a lot of the statistics for last season. Let's see if we can find it properly here. I like it when everything doesn't work, like just as we're streaming. That's good, isn't it? Noah Okafor. Right, well, give us last season then. All tournaments. No, it doesn't even let you filter. What a load of crap. Anyway, yeah, it's not like he played a lot more games than that last season. Anyway, he's the type of player who offers you something different. He really is Largi Ramazani. He's a little bit similar to Largi Ramazani. I would say he's a little bit of a mixture between Dan James and Largi Ramazani in terms of Dan James's out-and-out pace, Largi Ramazani's explosiveness and the ability to go past somebody, but he's definitely better than Largi Ramazani as a footballer. Provides more in the way of creating things. So he's really good. For a newly promoted side to be able to sign Largi Ramazani, to sign Noah Okafor is a really, really good deal. It is. So I think it's important that we note that some people have been negative about Okafor. Now, Michael makes a fair point about Okafor. The problem is with the signing of Okafor, Leeds United are now overloaded with wide players like Nonto, Harrison, Largi, Aronson. How on earth does Farke keep those players happy? Well, let's talk about the 2 players for each position thing. Because 4 wingers is fine. 4 wingers is fine because you want 2 for each position. But currently we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and Okafor. So we have 3 wingers for each wing registered in the squad. One of them might go out on loan now that we've signed Okafor. Maybe potentially a Largi Ramazani might go out on loan, which I think there's a lot more to come from Largi Ramazani, and I think if he does end up leaving Leeds United, I think he'll have a really good season somewhere. And there's a potential we might actually regret it, letting him go out on loan. But yeah, as it stands, we have got 3 players for each position there. So there may be a little bit in terms of that. Dave B saying, before we move on to the next transfers, Dave B saying, apart from the obvious like Bamford, who else do you think will leave before the window closes? Meslier is one at about £5 to £6 million. I don't necessarily think that some of the others will necessarily leave, but I do think that we could see that Alex Cairns ends up not getting registered as part of the squad, because if we sign a striker, we have too many players to register. So I think that somebody like Alex Cairns is prime to not be made part of the squad and take on a more kind of background training, coaching role, so that Rory Mahadi, who doesn't count as part of the 26 because he's a youth player, would be our 3rd choice keeper after Perry, Darlow. He would be the guy. So that's what I'm thinking. I think Bamford's on his way out. I think there's a few others, like obviously there's ones that have been on loan and we kind of expect them to go out again, like Sam Greenwood and people like that. I expect them to go out again, but yeah, that's what we're looking at in terms of people who are leaving. I did not mean to leave that a Greek forward Demirovic because he's not Greek, but we can talk about him. I made a video about Demirovic the other day. Quite a few people have seen that because it was a very popular video. But when we're talking about that game against Everton, and this does link back, trust me, we're looking at the kind of crosses. Dan James put a cross into the far post where he cut inside and then used his left foot to curl the ball to the back post, and Nonto couldn't get on the end of it. That cross. Then you've got one that Goodmanson fizzed across the face of goal on the ground, and then one that Goodmanson fizzed across the face of goal in the air as well. We don't have a striker who is going to be just so hungry to get on the end of them and always in the right place at the right time. You're kind of looking at Piru, who likes dropping deep and picking up the ball and being part of the build-up. And then you're looking at Mecha, who, yes, is a good hold-up man, but is he necessarily the guy to... He will make runs in behind, but he's not as good as Demirovic in that front. So... with those type of crosses that both Dan James and Goodmanson were putting into the box, somebody like Demirovic gets on the end of them and it ends up 2 or 3-0 to Leeds. I really believe that in that Everton game. I really believe that. So that's where I'm kind of looking at somebody like Demirovic coming in and you go, okay, well, he's... I'm just going to change that. Well, he's a guy that really, really elevates Leeds United. Really does as an attacking team. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, yeah, is a good striker as well. But is he the guy to do what Demirovic is doing and just get on the end of things, slide the ball into the back of the net, throw his body at it to try and get it into the back of the net? I'm not so sure about Dominic Calvert-Lewin in that sense. He can definitely be a help to us this season. He really can. Welcome, CB. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, every Friday at 6 during the transfer window, and then, of course, for the games as well. And everyone who's here, I imagine you'll know, but I'll be live for the game tomorrow. I've already scheduled it. Michael saying, does the sign of Okafor signal the end of any hope that Solomon would be coming back to it? Well, you had hope. I think so. I think so. I think it signals the end of it. Because to me, Okafor is that type of player, but better at what he does. And look, there's a reason that Okafor was playing for AC Milan, and when he got loaned out, he went to Napoli, whereas Solomon got loaned out to the Championship. So there's a reason there. We're shopping in a different market now. But yeah, Nipper are saying, is it true that they might be selling James? I can't see it. I think that must be someone clickbaiting somewhere. Let me have a little Google. I mean, didn't he just sign he signed a new deal in June until 2029, so... I mean, yeah, he signed a new deal. There's no chance. It's one. Do you know what it is? It's that I don't even want to give them bloody airtime. It's on a website where they're basically making up a story to get clicks. This guy who's written this article is saying Noah Okafor needs to displace Dan James at Leeds. As good as Dan James has been for Leeds in the Championship, there are some serious doubts whether those numbers will translate to the Premier League, etc., etc., right? But Noah Okafor primarily will play on the left wing and Dan James is a right winger. This guy Noah Okafor would start over Nonto, not Dan James. And this entire article, I know you've probably just saw the headline and didn't like go into it or anything, but this entire article about Dan James potentially leaving Leeds is just, the entire thing behind it is Leeds have signed Noah Okafor and now we've got quite a lot of wingers. So, all right, who are Leeds' wingers? I'll pick a random one and say he might be leaving Leeds for clicks. So I just don't, honestly, just don't even give him the time of the day. I can't think of a word. It's a load of crap, basically. PSA, in my concern, like the left wing, we have some interesting people in the centre. Piru, Mecha, DCL. I'd like to see those used more before we bring in another striker, but we need to be more clinical. Yeah, but I still think, Pierre, that the DCL signing was just in case we can't get any other strikers in, let's bring him in. Let's bring Dominic Calvert-Lewin in on a free to cover ourselves so that we've got 3 Premier League strikers. Daniel Farke is still saying we've got to get another striker, and we do really. We've got to get a starting striker, and Demirovic just honestly fits that bill perfectly. It's not about like who we like and who we want to get game time. It's about staying up in the Premier League. We've got to be ruthless, and whether that means pushing Piru and Mecha and DCL back in the pecking order behind a new striker, I'm fine with that because we have to stay up. We just have to. We know Okafor likes the wing role and not the 9. Yeah, but he has played there before, so he's also an option up front if it needs to be. But that's a little bit Dan James up front for me. So yeah, like you say, it's probably better off to have him on the wing. Yeah, essentially. I'm agreeing with people in the comments about what's been happening. So, the other thing is then, apparently Leeds are moving a bit closer to... I don't think we'll be getting rid of Piru at all. Piru stays, definitely. So, we've also seen the links from like a few weeks have gone by now where we've been linked to James Justin. And for me, it's a really, really good signing to make. If you've got Jayden Bogle on the right and you've got Goodmanson on the left, you've got 2 very good attacking fullbacks who we saw in the Everton game. Both had a very good game. But James Justin coming in as a backup is just perfect for me. I really think it is. It's the exact kind of signing you need to make where you've got good quality on the bench to be able to come in, because as much as I like Sam Byram, to have him as a Premier League option as your right back or your left back, I think is leaving yourself a little bit light. And you just can't afford to do that in the Premier League. You just can't. So James Justin apparently would cost us only around 7 million. He did come off injured in Leicester's game the other week, but apparently it's not too serious, so Leeds could still be going in for James Justin. So that one's a little bit of a watch this space, because I think that will be the deal that happens next. That's my prediction, is that will be the deal that happens next. James Justin to Leeds for around 7 to 10 million pounds, which totally fine. I think there is a little bit in the Strauch thing, not in terms of the fact that the player will necessarily leave or anything, but just in terms of the fact that Valencia are apparently interested. Now, I don't know if this is one of those, it's Carlos Corberán is the manager, so it's Carlos Corberán is the manager, so therefore let's link him back to a Leeds player. But I'm sure it was reported by reputable journalists. But we couldn't say no if they offered like 30 or 40 million for him, which I think is apparently what Leeds would ask. I'll try searching on Twitter, because I'm sure that came through a reputable journalist. But like either way, if we lose him for a lot of money, then we can reinvest that money. But I don't know. I don't think Leeds would want to let him go, so therefore I think they'd ask a really high price. And then we're in Spain, so it's in Spain, so they're not completely flush with money. Is it Valencia or is it Villarreal? I think it might have been Villarreal, actually, yeah, so never mind the Carlos Corberán thing, just ignore that. But yeah, just Yorkshire Sport Post, or maybe it's bollocks, to be honest. But either way, if it wasn't, then yeah. So James Justin's a no-brainer. Go and get that done. We are apparently, well, Hill is a centre back, and that's what we're just about to move on. So James Hill currently plays for Bournemouth and is 23 years old and is a bit of a backup centre half. So it would be both. It wouldn't just be one or the other. It would be James Hill and James Justin, because one's a centre back and one's a full back. Like James Hill can play as a right back, but it's not his bag, and he would just be a backup centre back, I think. And a few Bournemouth fans have said he's got a high potential. It's just that he's not getting any game time. So, but then he wouldn't at Leeds either. So it's essentially saying like our backup for our centre backs after Strauch, Rodon, and Biol, and Bornau. You maybe want one more, but even then, I don't think I would want James Hill. I don't think we need it, to be honest. I don't think we need it. So I think we'd be looking at. See, a lot of people have said this, but this was just a Bielsa rule, Rajiv. I think this was just a Bielsa thing that he wanted. Like a lot of teams play with two right-hand-sided, two right-footed centre-backs, and Leeds would have that in Strauch, in Biol and Rodon, and I think that will be that will be one of the partnerships going forward. So for me, I don't see it particularly changing. So that's the other one, James Hill, as well as James Justin. So for me, get James Justin in as soon as possible. You've got a backup fullback, and then you can just focus all your attention on getting a striker, and we're done then, I think. And I think that would give us that would mean that we'd had a very, very, very strong transfer window. Yeah, Bornau is more of a centre back, but he can play right back, which you don't necessarily want to be putting square pegs in round holes exactly, do you? So, John Ramskill, happy Friday. Bring on tomorrow. Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I think we'll get beat. But if we do all the things I said in my tactical preview, and if we do them well and perfectly, there's a chance we get a draw as well. And of course, there's a chance with our pace on the break that we can score a goal. I just think they might have too much for us. I think they might have too much for us. So that's where I'm kind of looking at it. But look, I forgot to mention as well, Chewy is our top fan of the week with £10 super chat in the Everton game. So thanks, Chewy, even though I don't think he's here. But I think it'll be a 0-0. Pierre saying, well, the thing is, they played pretty poorly against Scum last week, didn't they? And I can't imagine that they will play as badly again, especially at home. It's the London curse. So, yeah, it's not a real curse, look, but a lot of the teams in London just tend to be good. So, we are going to have our work cut out for us tomorrow. We really, really are. But now we have a solid goalkeeper. We have a solid spine of the team. And I think having that midfield will be massively helpful. It really will be. Having a midfield where you can trust them to keep the ball, you can trust them to be strong, that is a real bonus. The other thing is as well, obviously Ampadu's injured now, potentially until the international break. So if you didn't know, Daniel Farke said in his press conference today or yesterday, whenever it was, I think it was yesterday, Ampadu will be injured. He's done his MCL until after the international break. So that is a massive, massive worry for us. Having said that, I think that Ilya Gruev can do a really good job. I think he's calm, he's collected, he's got a good passing range, he's very good at tackling, he's positionally very, very good. I think that we're all right with Gruev. I think we're all right in Gruev. Yeah, I think that plays into what you're talking about there, Rajav. I think it's Gruev that comes in for Ampadu. It's more of a like-for-like swap. I think it would be Longstaff for Tanaka, if anything. But I think Tanaka will start. I think it'll be Longstaff and potentially Stack with Tanaka ahead of them, or potentially Longstaff pending substitutions and stuff like that as well. So that's the way I see it. Obviously, those of you who have watched or are going to watch my tactical preview of the game, I recorded it before Ampadu was announced as injured, so imagine that Ampadu is Gruev when I'm talking about it. But I think that video is probably quite a good one to explain the way that Arsenal are going to try and play through us, and the ways that we can stop them, especially through our midfielders that we've got in there who are really, really good against Everton. So I definitely recommend going and checking that one out. But yeah, look. John saying I'm worried now, knowing that Max is worried. But you've got to be realistic at some point. Like, I know a lot of people are saying that we would get a draw, but like, when you see Arsenal have finished second 2 seasons in a row, you just can't, you can't underestimate that we are a newly promoted side, and we'd be playing against a team who's finished second the last 2 seasons, has spent the most in the Premier League era. Spent more than Man City now in the past 5 seasons or whatever. I saw it earlier, some sort of statistic where they spent more than Man City over the last 5 seasons or so. So, excuse me. I think we probably are going to lose, but these are the games that. Now, last time we were up in the Premier League, we talked about free hits. And I think it's a dangerous concept saying free hits. Obviously, Leeds as a club and the players and the staff won't think about it like that. They will try to win the game. And they'll have a conservative game plan to try to win the game. But we probably will lose, and that's fine. Because we aren't expected to beat Arsenal. So far, if we lose tomorrow, we've done, and we play well, that's one of the best outcomes that we could hope for. We've got to be realistic here, because when you come up to the Premier League, you've got to beat the teams around you. So you've got to beat Everton, and we've done that. To lose against Arsenal, as long as you put in a decent performance, honestly, a draw, huge. A draw would be huge. To come out with 4 points from the first 2 games would be unreal for Leeds. It really would be. But I fully expect us to lose. But that would be fine, because we expect to lose against the team who came second, just like we'd expect to lose against Liverpool and even against Spurs, etc. You don't go in with the mentality that you want to lose or anything like that, but being realistic, we probably will lose against Arsenal. And that's fine. We need to get used to the concept that it's not the end of the world if you lose to Arsenal or Liverpool or Man City, and that it might be the end of the world if you lose to Burnley or Everton or Sunderland or Wolves or Brentford or West Ham. There's certainly a lot more teams in the bottom half of the table that we should try to beat than what we have to beat in the top half of the table. So, yeah. Let's just well, I mean, you don't have to, but for me, I'm tempering my expectations of this game. But the way that we played against Everton, if we can bring a little bit of that into this game and play well, then we might do all right. There's certainly ways to try and stop Arsenal, and that's literally what I went through in that tactical breakdown. Like how we should play against them, or how we probably will play against them to combat what they like to do. But it's another thing actually being able to stop it. I mean, the perfect analogy for that is that people used to talk about Riyad Mahrez, or even Mo Salah or anything like that. Everybody knows what he wants to do. He wants to come from the outside. He wants to cut inside into the half space and shoot and curl the ball into the far corner. Everybody knows that that's what he wants to do. All the defenders know that's what he wants to do. The coaches, the staff, everybody knows that that's what Mahrez or Salah wanted to do. But it's another thing stopping them. It's another thing being able to actually stop them from doing that. So, yeah, I'm expecting a loss, hoping for a draw, much like Pierre says there. So, perfect. So, in terms of other transfers then, there's not been a massive amount of stuff that we've been linked with. There is one more striker, though. Matthijs Ablin. He's a nonce forward. Oh, and apparently bloody Sunderland are interested in him as well. They would be, wouldn't they? So he can play as a forward or as an attacking midfielder a little bit as well. Matthijs Ablin. Similar players that he's been compared to are people like Liam Delap, Mateta, Kristovic, Šeško, Oyarzabal, players like that. So that gives you an idea of what kind of stats he's been putting out over the last year or so. So decent, but nothing amazing. Ablin goals and assists 2024-25 season. Let's have a little look at what his output was. 34 matches in Ligue 1. 9 goals, 2 assists last season. Yeah, 9. Well, that was in the league actually. So he played 36 times, scoring 11 goals and getting 2 assists in all competitions. He's only 22 years old, and he's already playing for the France under-21 side. So, yeah. But then that one's a little bit of like a not quite finished product. If you're looking at it like that, if you're looking at somebody like Demirovic, they go straight in, and you're like, okay, yeah, he's properly a Premier League striker. Ablin, little bit more of like a one for the future, which means that you are kind of relying a lot more on Peru, Mecha, and DCL. That's how we're looking at it. And thanks, Justin Odell, for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Hi all, hope you're well. Just now on to catch the live. Don't tell my boss. We won't, Justin. We promise you. Can see Stack dominating Rice and Co in midfield. Look, Stack's a very good player, Rob. I think you might be dreaming a little bit there. They've got one of the best midfield, especially now that they've brought Zubamendi in, one of the best midfield threes in Europe. They really are. the Rice that can do that powerhouse running. He's more of a box-to-box player, Rice, than a holding midfielder anymore. Zubimendi is a fantastic signing for Arsenal. He really, really is. He really completes that midfield. He's this kind of ball-playing midfielder. Not huge in terms of his stature, but he's diminutive. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's press-resistant. And then you've got Martin Ødegaard, who consistently for the last couple of years has been one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe, creating tons of chances, scoring tons of goals. That midfield three of theirs is probably the best. It's up there with the best that will come up against this season, maybe barring Man City. So I think you might be dreaming a little bit there, because they are unreal in there. Stack, Tanaka and Gruev can do a very good job in the Premier League, don't get me wrong. But against them, if Eze plays and is kind of cleared in time to play, he'd be on the wing. He'd be out on the left wing, Saka out on the right, Eze out on the left, ahead of Madueke, and having that ability to cut inside and go into the half space is exactly what I've talked about in the tactical preview as well. So, yeah, it's going to be a long day. I'm excited for it, because I mean, if we can get a result, then unreal, especially with me kind of going in with this low expectation of what might happen. If we then win, then I'm going to be absolutely bouncing on the watch along. Like at the moment, we are very much chilled and relaxed this evening. But in that watch along, I will be going mental if we score. just better believe it. Yeah, we did talk about this, Justin, but we can cover it again. Gruev, I think, is very, very capable. And people are mentioning whether it'll be Longstaff or Gruev or who comes in there. I think it's Gruev. I think Farke trusts Gruev. I think Longstaff is a good midfielder, but I don't think he's a holder. I don't think he can hold on his own. I think he does good defensive work, but from a position like Tanaka, where he can get forward and back a little bit more. And also, whilst in the Everton game, we saw it was Ampadu sitting a little bit deeper as like the 6. And then you had Stack and Tanaka ahead of them almost as 2/8s. I think against Arsenal, we'll drop Stack in as a proper holding midfielder alongside Gruev, and then have Tanaka or Longstaff as a lone 8 ahead of them. I think that will be like the differentiation we make. So in the Everton game, you'll have like Ampadu, Stack and Tanaka, who kind of split off and go into the half space a little bit and patrol that area of midfield. And I think when we're in games against better teams, I think that whole thing flips. Spider-Man. Sorry, that was an intrusive thought. I think that whole thing flips around and you have 2 holders and 1 8, and it just gives you a bit more defensive stability, but still the ability to kind of spring forward when you need to by sending a Stack up to be an attacking threat as well. So I think that's where it kind of comes in. But yeah, it is going to be tough. And we do need to put up a fight, like Nipper says. You've got to. And I think we will. I really do. I think we'll give a good account of ourselves. I don't think we'll look like a newly promoted side. I think we'll look like mid-table. Just like... I think a lot of people are underestimating us this season. I really do. I think... I watched the thing where Neville and Carragher do their predictions, and I think might have been Neville had us to go down. I genuinely do believe, like now that I obviously already always had an interest in football, but in terms of like, I would never have really, before starting this channel, gone into the detail that I go into, like in my own personal time, if it wasn't for the YouTube videos and stuff. So when I did my Premier League predictions, other than Sunderland, who I've obviously done quite a lot of research on their transfers because they were supposed to be coming to Leeds first, I know that people have brought players in, and I know kind of a rough overall of who most players are, just out of general football knowledge. But I don't know from foreign players from abroad. I don't know all of them and how exactly they'll play, etc., etc. So a lot of it is kind of an arbitrary placement in the Premier League. And I think now doing that, I realise that a lot of the actual pundits on TV and stuff, like, I don't think that Gary Neville or Jamie Carragher knows a thing about Anton Stach before that game. I don't think they know anything about Gabriel Goodmanson. Any of those kind of pundits who predict Leeds to go down, or the publications like the newspapers who know even less about football that predict Leeds to go down, I genuinely don't think they know much about the players that we've recruited and how we've recruited them and why they fit. I think there's been a big narrative of, oh, well, Leeds have just bought in some really tall players. But I think that takes away from the fact that the tall players that we've bought are of really high quality. Looking at Gabriel Goodmanson for what, 7 million quid or 7 to 10 million quid, that's an absolute steal. Look, we've seen one game from him, but the way that he played in that Everton game, it massively, massively unlocked Nonto. I don't think everybody's been talking about Nonto having a good game in that game. I don't think it happens without Goodmanson having that support with him. I really don't. And I think Goodmanson's an unreal signing and will be fantastic for us. He's perfect for what Daniel Farke wants to do. Then you look at Anton Stach in the midfield as well. Unbelievable signing for the price that we've got him for. He's massive for us. We haven't even seen Jacobillo barely yet, but strong, robust centre-back who really kind of fits the core of this team, being strong, sturdy, and being defensively aware, especially coming from Italy. So I think a lot of these people who are writing us off as going down have seen how much we've spent. And a lot of people have gone, oh yeah, Perry's a fantastic signing because he played for Lyon, one of the top sides in France. And he is a fantastic signing at a fantastic price. But some of the other signings that we've done have gone massively under the radar. When you look at Granit Xhaka and I actually think Granit Xhaka is a very good player, and I think he'll be good for Sunderland. But just using him as an example, because he's played in the Premier League before, when he comes in, there's all this hype around him going, oh my God, Sunderland have signed Granit Xhaka. But when you look at Stach, what he contributes to Leeds is comparable, if not more, than what Xhaka will contribute to Sunderland. And he cost way less as well. So, and he costs way less, he's younger. I mean, look, some of the business we've done, and it's probably a good thing, because you always want people to underrate you. You always want people to kind of make you the underdogs, and I think we are this season, because I think, and do you know what as well? This is a bit of a rant, so I hope you don't mind, but it's something to talk about because there's not much transfer news. Do you know what else annoys me? The fact that people kind of instantly forget last season. Now, there's a little bit of a stigma sometimes against sides that have done really, really well in the Championship. Maybe because of sides like Burnley, who were unreal in the Championship, smashed it, and then came up to the Premier League and were shocking. I think there's a little bit of a kind of a stigma created around that. But you've also got to look at the fact that Leeds, if not for Burnley, Leeds set a Championship record of conceded goals last season, the record low, if not for Burnley, because they did ridiculous. And then we also scored almost a record number of goals as well. You've also replaced the goalkeeper with someone like Rob's saying there, who is very, very much more accomplished and stronger as a goalkeeper. With the recruitment we've done, with the way that we played football last season, with the adaptations that Daniel Farke has made to the system, do you know what? Credit to Daniel Farke, real credit to Daniel Farke, because he's not many managers get this right at all. Not many managers get this right. Daniel Farke, the way that he's adapted from the Championship to the Premier League has been so seamless. It's not a huge change. It's just, okay, that number 10, we're going to grab him from there and we're just going to pull him back into in the midfield. We'll have a midfield 3 and we'll go 4-3-3 rather than 4-2-3-1. It's a small change. It really is a small change. But football games in the Premier League are won and lost in the midfield. If you have a midfield 2 and they get overwhelmed by the press and they keep giving the ball away, the ball is going to keep coming back and keep coming back. And with the quality in the Premier League, you will get punished. In the Premier League, we now have 3 in that midfield because Farke has said, okay, that's an area where we need to be stronger. So he's brought in Anton Stack, he's brought in Sean Longstaff, and he said, okay, you bolster that midfield with what good players we already have there, Ampadu, Tanaka, and Gruev. Fantastic. Bolster what we already have in that midfield, and we will be solid. And you go, okay, but is that not at the expense of our attacking threat then? But he says, no, actually, because you still have those flying fullbacks that we had last season, and because he has the 3 in midfield and the 2 at the back, you're able to drop one in and you're able to have a rest defence of 4 players at times. If you send Stack forward, Tanaka might stay back. If you send Tanaka forward, Stack might stay back with Ampadu and 2 midfield and 2 defenders. And then you've got the ability to send your fullbacks forward, and you've got 5 or 6 across the front line while still having a sturdy rest defence in the middle of the pitch. Credit to Daniel Farke, because I think he's done a fantastic job of just calmly adapting the system and coming into it. And look, it's got to be Gruev. Be quirky asking, would you start Longstaff or Gruev? Longstaff isn't a number 6. There is no choice for me. It's got to be Gruev. You saw by the fact that when Ampadu came off in that game, it was Gruev who came on for him, and then Longstaff came on for Tanaka. I fully believe that that's the way it'll work this season. Ampadu is the holding midfielder. If Ampadu's out, then Gruev or Stack can play there. So you've also got that, actually. Sorry. Okay, yeah, so there's more nuance to this. Yeah, and exactly, there's your point. If we're playing the same way that we did with Stack as the number 8, then you have Gruev come in for Ampadu. If you put Stack in there, you could put Longstaff in the midfield. But the reason that I believe that it will be Gruev is because I think it'll be Gruev and Stack in the holding positions with one ahead of them. That's at least the adaptation that I'd make going up against a stronger side with a stronger midfield. I would have Stack and Gruev on Odegaard, Stack on Stack on Rice, and then you would send Tanaka or Longstaff, maybe Longstaff because he's good at doing that running, to just really bother the hell out of Zubamendi. Honestly, I want Tanaka or Longstaff, whoever it is, to be an absolute wasp around Zubamendi, to stop every time that he picks the ball up. He's got to think twice before passing it. So that's essentially how I would set it up. But I don't know what Daniel Farke is exactly going to do. It'll be some combination of those things. But for me, it should be Gruev that comes in. With Longstaff being an option a little bit further forward, because Longstaff can do that defensive work as well, of course. So that's the way I'm looking at it. If anybody else has got any further questions about the season in general, about tactics, about anything, let me know down in the comments. We've got about 10 minutes left. There's not much other transfer chat to be had, but if you do want to chat about anything else in particular, anything Leeds related, then put that down in the chat, and we'll talk about that as well. Of course, we are live tomorrow, remember, for the game. Of course, as well, it's just gone past on the screen. You can become a member today and join people like Pierre, Chewy, CB, etc., etc. There's Justin O'Dell, etc. As a Leeds Lily member, you get early access to the videos and priority access to replies and streams and comment sections under videos. Other thing is, if you go down to the description below, there is Leeds United prints under my Etsy page. If you go on the Etsy page, even if you don't buy anything, follow the shop. It'll help push me up in the algorithm for more Leeds fans to buy wall art designed by me. So if you want to support a creative and a YouTuber as well in terms of Leeds United, then go ahead and click that link down in the description as well. Rajiv saying, is it wishful thinking that we'll start with the back three? Look, it's a possibility, and I won't completely rule it out. But for me, I think he will still go with the back four, because I think that he wants to be able to have, especially coming up against three in the midfield. I haven't got an FPL league anomaly. I'm in one, but I haven't got one. But I might set one up for next season for Leeds Lately subscribers. That might be a good idea for next season, but we've already started now. Anyway. Back three. I think that there's a possibility, but for me, he's going to go for a back four, because I think when you look at Arsenal's midfield, because they're going with a three, I think we have to match them up. We can't put two in the midfield against those, because they'll tear us apart. So that's why I think we'll go for a four at the back with three in midfield. Would I consider a swap for Peru for Hamer? I don't think so, no. We're not going to play with a number 10. And Hamer, of course, could play in the central midfield as well, but he's not necessarily going to do the dog work that other people like Tanaka and stuff are. So, and Peru, I like Peru. I want to keep Peru. He's top goal scorer in the Championship last season. Over the last couple of seasons, he scored a lot of goals, and I think he'll come in very useful for us. Chewy's not going to be here tomorrow and the match, but of course, yeah, we'll expect you back in the next one. Oh, also, thank you, Michael. Yeah, we did reach 10k subs on the Everton watch along. So that's mad to have hit 10,000 subs. So thank you for all for being a part of that as well. I had some thoughts about. I can't remember whether I said it on a video or a stream or something. I must have said it somewhere, but I'll say it again because I think it's a good point. When you look at our strikers at the moment, I think because they're different kind of profiles of player, I think they fit different games. So what I mean by that is that when you look at, for example, the first half of the Everton game is perfect. I might mention it in my match reaction, to be honest. The Everton game is a perfect example of this. So in the first half, Leeds are absolutely dominating, aren't they? And we are all over the possession and we're all over the build-up play and we are creating chances. This is the Peru scenario. Perfect for him. I might make a full video about this. Perfect for him. He drops into the midfield. He comes and picks the ball up. Sometimes he even drifts out to the wing. He gets the ball. He joins in the interplay and then he passes the ball forward. And I think he's very good at doing that when Leeds are dominant in possession. And I think that really, really helps us to build up the play and then get forward himself. And I don't think we've got any other strikers that can do that. So I think that's one of the reasons why Farke will be insistent on keeping Peru, because he really helps in that build-up play, and I think he's improved massively since we bought him. The first season wasn't that good. The next season, I think he was perfect doing that build-up play, and I think that's perfect for what we want him for. Then you get to the second half of that Everton game, and Peru just kind of drifts out of the game, and a lot of people are saying, well, why is he having a stinker? Why is he just suddenly not playing as well anymore? Well, Everton started to come back into the game more, and Everton were the side who were massively dominant. So therefore, Peru's not able to get involved in the build-up play as much for Leeds, because Leeds don't have as much of the ball. The Mecha situation or the DCL situation. That's where Leeds are not going to have as much of the ball, and we need to make it stick when we do get the ball back. So Mecha against Everton, even though he only had a few touches, he played really, really well and did exactly what I'd like him to do in that scenario, which is make the ball stick. Back into a defender, strong, shoulders broad, get the ball into his feet, play it to somebody, make a run in behind, or just generally good hold-up play where he's able to hold the line up front, make sure that they don't creep up too much, and he's able to pass the ball into the channels or go and try and get in the end of things himself. Perfect for him or perfect for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's essentially the way I see it, that those different scenarios will fit different strikers. So I think you'll see a lot of rotation with our strikers this season. Justin saying, I think James drops out, Nonto goes to the right, and both Peru and DCL come into the squad and we play as a 10. I personally don't agree with that. Obviously, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I just don't think I don't think we play with the number 10 anymore, and especially not against a side like Arsenal. For me, I don't think we'll play with a number 10 against a side like Arsenal. I think it's a 4-3-3. I think we're actually going to be more defensive than we were against Everton and drop another player into the holding midfield role and rely on the wingers to have a bit of individual creativity to go and get a goal. Which is why I think, look, he probably will start with Peru because he can be a little bit stubborn. But for me, this is a game for Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Mecha to start. That's what I think. One of them has got to start for me in terms of making the ball stick, like I said in the second half against Everton. The other thing is Dan James out on the right-hand side. If we're going to be playing on the counter-attack and you've got the electric pace of somebody like Dan James, you've got to use it. You've got to have that ability to see that Anton Stack or Gruev probably specifically will get his head up and play a diagonal ball over the top for James to run onto on the counter-attack. That's why I see James as so important in this game. The other side, look, it might be a bit early. I think Nonto will probably start, but I'd love to see Noah Okafor coming in a game like this, because on the counter-attack, with how fast he is and how he is has the ability to go past people, I think that's where you kind of look at Noah Okafor and think this kind of game is perfect for him. I don't think he's ready yet, so I don't think that potentially would be happening. In terms of sorry, Justin. I thought you meant against Arsenal. You meant like out of the squad entirely. Fair enough, sorry. That's the way I think we'll set up against Arsenal. And I think the fullbacks will obviously be important in those counter-attacks, but it's important to pick and choose opportunities to go forward in a game like this where you probably are going to get battered realistically in terms of possession and chances. So that's the way I see the Arsenal game. That's the way I see the transfers that have gone out at the moment. It'd be amazing if we could get a result tomorrow. It really would be. Of course, I'm live for it, as usual. If you haven't already, please make sure you go out and check those tactical previews, because I'm trying to carve a little bit of a niche for myself here as well, in that I want to be a little bit unique and different from the other Leeds United YouTubers. I want to be the guy that people come to before a game to watch a tactical preview, so that then when they watch the game, they're like, oh yeah, I can see what he was talking about there with this and that. So that's where I'm kind of coming from with that. So if you could support those videos, that would massively help me out. And to be fair, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, because you guys are probably the people who watch those videos. But yeah, if you haven't already, I would recommend checking out that tactics video, because obviously it's slightly out of date because Ampadu's injured. But the general gist is there, and it might give you a little bit more of an idea of why I'm scared about this game, but why I think that there is potentially a little bit of hope for Leeds to come back. So like I said before, make sure you check out all the links in the description down below. If you want to get yourself a Leeds United, kit of any kind, here it is. Make sure you go to the link in the description down below. If you use my link down there, I will get a affiliate kickback. A small amount of money will come to me for helping make the sale, essentially, at no extra cost to you. And I think at the moment, you're able to get free... let me just see if I can get this, because I think you might be able to get free name and number printing as a discount at the moment. I don't know if it's just through the regular link or whether it's where I'll have to come up with a specific link. So if you hang on a second, if you are fancying getting a shirt and you are wanting to get a name on it, I think we can get a deal where you don't get where you don't have to pay for the name and numbering. I'll find that. I think it was on. I think I got an email from Fanatics who make the things. Here we are. Effectively saving £15 for fans if they'd like printing it on it. So let me just copy that link. Try again. Right. This link here, by the way, I believe should get you free. It should get you free name and number imprinting that saves you £15, I think, on shirts and stuff. So if you want to do that, that's there. It's not me specifically, Julie. It's the official Leeds United store. It's just that if you use my link, I get a small amount of money and it doesn't cost anyone anything extra. But if you do use my link, it's the whole Leeds United store. So there's loads of retro stuff on there. There's shoes, there's bags, there's hats. There's on any purchase, and I'll get a small little kickback, and it helps to just keep me going. So that'd be massively appreciated. If anyone does want to get anything, make sure you use my link and use that one that I've put in the chat, because it gets you free name and number printing. But yeah, other than that, check out my Etsy prints down in the description below. And yeah, thanks for watching Leeds Lately. We shall see you tomorrow with a live watch along. Hope to see most of you there. In fact, there'll be more of you there because it's a game and people will be more interested in the game than me just waffling for an hour. But I hope you've all enjoyed this, and it's just a bit of a casual chat about Leeds at the moment. Of course, when the transfer window ends, there's probably not too much of a reason to carry these on because there isn't that much there isn't that much to talk about during the normal season. But yeah, there'll be plenty of content, don't you worry. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately. See you tomorrow in the live watch along, and then of course there'll be a match reaction and everything afterwards. So there's plenty to stay subbed for now that we are 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's been about under a week now, only about 4 or 5 days, and it still doesn't feel quite real. So 10,075 subscribers we're on, so crazy. Hopefully we can hit like maybe 15k by the end of the season. Would be amazing. But yeah, see you tomorrow evening, everybody, for the live watch along of Leeds United versus Arsenal on Leeds Lately. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. It's always this awkward moment where I have to then go over to my thing and press. There is, hold on. Let's get rid, hold on. Bigfoot saying that link doesn't apply any discount. It only applies it if you add, get off my screen, BRB thing. Oh, I can't get rid of it. I think it only applies it, on on the actual printing, the name and number and printing. It applies it to that. It doesn't apply it to the price of the shirt itself. And then PSA and why isn't Leeds Lately image on your Etsy page? What do you mean, Pierre? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm here still. I'm not sure what you mean, Pierre. Why isn't Leeds Lately image on your Etsy page? You let me know what you mean, and then I'll end the stream. I've still got this fan. The one behind you didn't appear for sale. Oh, that's just the graphic I made of a brick wall behind me. It's just a green screen thing. It doesn't really exist. It's not real, it's just an image. But yeah, I think potentially only to you though, Pierre. I mean, to be fair, I've got a proper professional printer now, so that I can print them here, and instead of having to pay printing companies. So if I did create any new ones that I haven't bought before, I can print them just print to order one at a time. So it doesn't really matter about how many people order them. So I'll have a think about it. But yeah. Yeah, but obviously as well, it's not, the actual image isn't that blurry, so I could just use that. Actually, no, I'd have to do it on an Illustrator. But anyway, we'll be live tomorrow evening before I expire from heat. We'll be live tomorrow evening, so join us then. Make sure you check out all the links in the description. Join the channel if you want to become a member as well, become part of the community. Every little helps to keep me going now that I'm all full-time on it and stuff. I mean, to be fair, the actual green screen itself is worth less than that, John, so anyway, thanks for watching Leeds lately. How much of the fan? It's actually broken. That it's got no clip. It's supposed to have a clip on it that like clips onto the desk so that I can do it, but it broke off, so like no. I'm not nervous, Pierre. I don't think I've ever been nervous a day in my life, so how dare you accuse me of such. Anyway, time for me to actually go. I'm hungry. I want some tea and I want to relax for the evening before the Arsenal game tomorrow. So, it's not wind up, it's electric. I don't have to wind it up or anything. Anyway, yeah, but also, Chewy, it's ugly and it would ruin the house. Anyway, let's try and find the actual back soon thing. There we go. Bye, everybody. Bye, Dr. Nick.